Why I respect Jordan Peterson again, but not for the reasons you think. In early 2018, I was still an atheist. Not an angry one, not even a particularly rebellious one, just someone who had long stopped trying to force meaning into a universe that seemed indifferent. But that changed when I watched a conversation between Jordan Peterson and Bret Weinstein, followed shortly by his appearance on Joe Rogan's podcast. That encounter didn't hammer me with arguments or corner me with logic, it opened a door I didn't know was still cracked. 7 weeks later, my wife died. She was a devout Christian. Gentle. Steady. Unshakable. And in the last weeks of her life, as I watched her prepare to meet the God she had always believed in, I, an atheist at 20 years, was finally able to believe in him too. Not because someone won a debate. Not because I lost a bet with science. But because someone, for once, articulated God in a way that matched how I already suspected he might exist. Not as an abstract principle or a projection of need, but as the foundation of what makes any of this bearable. That someone was Jordan Peterson, the unexpected teacher. Let me be clear, I don't always agree with Peterson. Sometimes I don't even know if he agrees with himself. He frustrates both believers and skeptics alike, Christians who want him to just say the sinner's prayer already, and atheists who wish he'd stop dodging direct questions with symbolic abstractions. But here's the thing, I respect him again, not because he has the answers, but because he knows how to ask questions with sincerity. Recently, I listened to a conversation between Peterson and atheist YouTube Alex O'Connor. It wasn't a debate. It wasn't a battle of egos or ideologies. It was something far rarer in this cultural moment, two men who wanted to learn from each other. That moment reminded me why I respected Peterson in the first place, not as a guru or prophet, but as a seeker. Someone who weeps over the mystery instead of mocking it. Someone who doesn't treat faith as a soundbite or a scoreboard. Not a warrior, a wounded witness. The Peterson who helped resurrect my belief in God wasn't the one throwing rhetorical jabs or debating 12 atheists in a row. It was the one who said things like, "It's impossible to grow up until someone else is more important than you." Something I didn't fully understand until I cared for my wife in her final days. There is no difference between thinking about yourself and being miserable. A truth I've lived in the loneliness of grief. God wants you to come to him as a child. A terrifying and beautiful idea, especially when your childhood is the very thing you've spent a lifetime trying to escape. He wasn't offering certainties. He was offering language, fragile, fumbling, but honest, that gave people like me permission to approach God again. Not with pride, but with trembling. Not with victory, but with wounds. Why I still respect him. So when people criticize Peterson for being ambiguous about his faith, when they mock his tears, his stammering, his refusal to plant a flag and say I'm a Christian, I understand the frustration. But I also know this, faith isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just a whisper trying not to die. And sometimes, it's the whisper that saves someone else's life. Peterson didn't preach me into belief. He didn't hand me theology. He just walked far enough into the dark to show that light might still be there. And in the last 7 weeks of my wife's life, I believed there was. Not because someone won a debate, but because someone dared to doubt out loud, and didn't turn away when the doubt became longing. That's why I respect Jordan Peterson again. Not because he's certain, but because he's still searching. And in that searching, he helped me find God.